Hello everyone. Here in this PowerPoint presentation, we're going to be talking about the respiratory system and its functions. Now, one thing that we can start to mention about the respiratory system is that humans can live without water for days, maybe like 4 or 5 days, without food for weeks, but they cannot live without oxygen for even a few minutes. With this, we can say that breathing is our most urgent need. And this is because the trillions of cells in the body, they need this continuous supply of oxygen to produce the energy that's needed to carry out their vital functions. And furthermore, as the cells use oxygen, they will produce carbon dioxide, which is a waste product that the body must eliminate. And the major functions of the respiratory system is to be able to fulfill these needs, that is, to supply the body with oxygen and dispose of carbon dioxide. First, let's do an overview of the respiratory system structures. Basically, we can say that the respiratory system is divided into two sections. We have what we call the upper respiratory system and the lower respiratory system. Within the upper respiratory system, we have the nose, which can also be called the external nares, as we see right over here. The nasal cavity, which is this whole structure right over here. The paranasal sinuses, we can see both of them here. We have the frontal sinuses and the sphenoidal sinuses, and the pharynx, which goes all the way down to around the hyoid bone. The lower respiratory system will start at the larynx, which is right over here. Then we go on to the trachea. The trachea will divide into the bronchi. We can see the division right over here. And then the bronchi will further divide inside of the lungs. So these are the lungs. We have two lungs, one on each side. Now the respiratory tract will consist of the airways that carry the air to and from the gas exchange surfaces. So the respiratory tract can be divided into two portions, what we call a conducting portion and a respiratory portion. And mainly in this module, we're going to be covering the conducting portion, which extends from the entrance to the nasal cavity all the way to the smallest bronchioles of the lungs. And the respiratory portion, which we will cover in the next module, includes the respiratory bronchioles and the delicate air sacs, which can also be called alveoli, where the gas exchange actually occurs. Here we have listed all the functions of the respiratory system. Some of them we're going to be covering in this module, but others we're going to be covering in the next module. Let's start with providing this extensive area for gas exchange between the air and the circulatory blood. So the blood will be filled with carbon dioxide, and in exchange, it will receive oxygen from the lungs. Next, we have movement of air to and from the exchange surfaces of the lungs. Then we have protecting the respiratory surface from dehydration, from temperature changes, and other environmental variations. Then we have defending the respiratory system and other tissues from invasion by pathogenic microorganisms. And we're going to see how that happens here in the respiratory system. The respiratory system is also important for producing sounds that are going to be involved in speaking, singing, or even nonverbal communication. And lastly, we have that the respiratory system is going to assist in the regulation of blood volume, blood pressure, and control of the body fluid pH. And all these functions are performed together with the cardiovascular and the lymphatic systems, a few selected skeletal muscles, and the nervous system.